I try and kick myself sometimes and say that I didn't get into nursing because of my mother. That my nursing was something innate or organic that just happened, and that's a very romantic idea, but it's not true. 3 years ago, my mom got real sick, and it wasn't the type of sickness that you get better from. She was a University of Minnesota full professor, the youngest and the first woman to hold that title, they said. She was a genius flute player, and she was a delicate beauty beyond words, and she had melanoma. I was her primary caregiver, and with her modesty, I was a man who had never seen her breast since I was suckling at the teat. People asked me afterwards if I was surprised at how fast it all happened, and that seemed to me like a joke. Despite intricate twice-daily bandage changes, she died slowly with me at her side. I watched the picture of feminine beauty and light rocked in front of me moment by moment while the sour and waxy-scented vomit sprouted 32 flavors of ice cream scoop blossoms over her arms and torso. I was not ready for this. "I'm glad we're not squeamish," she said, and we weren't. I loved her deeply and actively, and I never gave up on her even after she died. But if you can say that you have watched the angel in everyone's dreams suffer a painful and stinking death and have not sought oblivion, have not wanted to drink until your brain is broken and nothing makes sense anymore, have not wanted to wreck your mind until you wake up with dead animals in your pockets with crossed eyes watching the house burn down across the street, or do something crazy like sign up for nursing school, I would say you're not ready yet. And you might say, well, yes, I have, and then tell me a long story about how you've lived an idyllic life of healthy decisions and no regrets, and I would sit there patiently waiting until you turned to walk away, at which point I would hold on to you for dear life, because you'd most likely be the Messiah incarnate, which would probably qualify you as marriage material. If you were a girl. But I'm flexible. Screw cancer. In the interest of time, and so as not to bore you, I'm going to switch gears here, but don't worry, it'll all come together and make sense at the end. Some of you know that I work on a psych ward for adolescents. Less of you know about how real that gets. I work with some patients that act a little needy or histrionic at times, and I work with a few that are pathologically oppositional. Some of them really, honestly, don't need to be there. But there are the wilder cards that find themselves drowning in a desperate sense of isolation, so profound that they would eagerly quaff down a pint glass of bleach if given half the chance. That's where things get tricky. I use my therapeutic communication by not acting afraid of these kids and literally, not figuratively, turning my back to them at times. And recently I got a wake-up call. There was one of these kids who hadn't eaten or spoken much in 2 days, and the nurse told me he had to eat dinner. He didn't want it. I gently encouraged him to eat, and he said no. I offered to make him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. He said no. He started to walk back to his room, and the nurse walked back to the nurse's station. I started to walk back to the lounge, and then I realized what happens when a very sick individual becomes a flurry of blows. I've earned my stripes beyond argument, but I never caught a licking like the one this kid laid on me. A psychotic paranoid delusion became a chokehold, and at least 12 close-fisted blows to the head. The nurse said it looked like a bar fight. After I dropped my chin and hit backward into him, all I could do was stay inside and hope he didn't knee me to the face. Pathology, as luck would have it, had left a vial of blood on his windowsill, and I was lucky enough not to catch that to the neck, or I might not have had such an easy time being here this morning. What I took away from that experience, other than an ER visit and a CT scan, was empathy. That kid was scared. Bad. And this is what I mean. With your brain battered and abused, it's really hard to just show up for work the next day with a ham sandwich like it's all kosher. As a matter of fact, even an untrained eye would look at that and be like, all kosher? That's a ham sandwich. You won't make your mistakes when you think it's important. In fact, you'll make your mistake when you think everything's going just fine. And if you can understand that point when you can no longer breathe and you realize that the only way to the surface is through 3 or 4 feet of what you can only hope is your own putrid mucus, then you can understand where your charge's head is at. The diaspora of illness, that craving for freedom, that need as deep-seated and innate as hunger for someone to touch your lesion-riddled skin, to hold your head, the need for someone to listen and to hear what you're saying and to tell you honestly that everything's going to be all right. That's what we got taught these past years. So take this home. Your main job as a nurse, inherent in assessment and advocacy, will be to bear witness. Bear witness to the stink and the ugliness and the pain and the joy and the regeneration that we are privileged and obligated to. You will be allowed a level of intimacy that may well bring both you and your patient way out of your comfort zones. While it presents an obvious paradox, take honest pride in your honest humility. Show up with a fertile presence of mind that you tend like a garden so that it bears fruit. And throughout the career, that will certainly and consistently remind you that we live in a world of too many pieces and not enough glue. I challenge you to be the arms that hold, to be the voice that soothes, and to be that contagious smile, and to implement appropriate and evidence-based nursing interventions. Because in about 5 minutes, that will become your professional career. Thank you guys for the honor of letting me speak. Congratulations, class of 2010, and always take good care.